So in this video, what we're looking to do is we're going to go beyond looking at an example and talking about whether it's a positive or negative externality, because the likelihood on the test is that that's a relatively minor point. Like, understanding the generalities is great and informative for us and helps us think about the specifics. But what we have to do now is we're going to start looking at the graph that is created because of a positive or a negative externality. And so you have this scenario here where, hopefully you've read this, you moved in the dorm, you got a roommate, and your roommate brought a sweet, I say sweet with air quotes, stereo, and he likes to play it, or she likes to play it, all the time, day and night. And now the dorm, aside from your roommate, is made up of people like you. Really, really nerdy people. I mean, like, all you guys want to do is study and get good grades, okay? And the question is, if we're up to you guys, the nerds of the dorm, and that's almost everyone, what would happen to the amount of music your roommate plays? It's not like a trick question, it's not like a really specific answer, but what would you want? You would want him or her to play more or less music, or the same amount of music. Play less. Because you want to study, right? You don't want to be distracted. And for you, this distraction, this radio, is a cost. It's an added cost. Apparently, I mean, your roommate is getting a benefit, right? They enjoy the music. It's soothing to them. But to you, it's a distraction. It's harm. And you're not getting any of that enjoyment, yet you're getting all the cost from this stereo. So this is an example of a negative externality. So the next slide on your paper looks something like this. All right. Now, what we have here are two graphs. The question is, what do we have? Do we have external cost or external benefits? So think of external as social benefits or social cost, or added extra benefits or extra costs. Well, here in this scenario, we have extra, what is it? We have extra costs. So your graph here, over here you have a negative externality. And over here, where you have extra benefits, this is your positive externality. We're going to focus on this one first, I believe. Okay? So here's essentially the scenario that I made you just kind of consider on the other paper. Now you'll need to look at your packet, your worksheet, because I didn't have enough room on the slide to produce the graph at a size that you would be able to see, as well as all of the questions down below here. So you see some of the question, but not much. So don't forget, basic thing here. You want your roommate to play less music. It's annoying to you that he plays or she plays so much. Don't forget that. Now, we need to kind of look at some of the notation here, because this notation is what Mr. Morton, who makes this book, uses. But we need to think about what you're going to see come AP test time. All right, so I'm going to adjust some of these. I'm going to pause it, and they'll be up here when you get back. Alright, so I took the liberty of changing or adding to some of the notations here, because it's helpful for us to think about. Remember when one of the first slides I showed you, we want to think about the demand curve here as being a benefits curve. That's why we've got the B down here. This is a benefits curve. Alright, but the supply curve is going to be our cost curve. That's why both of these are labeled with C's, MCs. So these are marginal cost here. Now, this notation that I put is the one that you will need and that you will see here on the test. Now, it's important to notice here that all the benefits are only those really that go to your roommate who plays the loud music, right? There's really no other benefit. So the marginal private benefit, your P stands for private here, which you have to be careful about because it's not public. Because public we associate similarly with social. So this is the private benefit that your roommate receives. he or she is the only one that benefits from this music. The rest of you, remember, don't like it. So society's benefit is the same as the private benefit here. There's no added benefits. Now this is the cost right here for your roommate. So your roommate takes the time to pick out the music, buys the music, lug the stereo up the stairs, all those costs that he or she paid. But then these are all up here is not just the private cost, but also the social cost as well. Now, Mr. Morton, he thinks of it as like you add the private cost and the social cost, and you get the total cost. For us, we just consider the marginal social cost the total cost, everybody's cost, individuals and society. Okay? So, if you look at your first question here, it says if your roommate considers only the private cost and benefits from playing music, how many hours of music are played? So you just want to, so you're going to ignore the social cost here, and so that means you're going to look at this curve right here because it's got the private, the P, and the private here. Well, how many hours is that? It looks like they add up at 4. So you go, oh, 4. And it says label that Q private. So I'm just going to go Q P. All right, like that. All right, I have to look over at my sheet. Hang on a second. All right, so what I want you to do, I want you to skip B, because B is going to ask you to look over here at this graph, and I don't want to look at this graph just yet. I want to stay over here. So B essentially says, hey, you hate the music your roommate plays, it bothers you all the time, and it tells you essentially, hey, look, your total cost, which we're calling again the social cost, the marginal social cost, is bigger than the marginal private cost. And it asks you, if your roommate considers the social cost from playing music as well as the private cost, what happens to the quantity of music played? So essentially, if they think about the total cost, what should happen to the amount of music that plays? Well, look at your graph here. So this is the benefit, right? Where did the benefit and the social cost, the total cost, match up? Right here, right? So this should be your quantity social. So the answer there is what should they do? What should they do if they consider everybody's cost and everybody's benefit? What should your roommate do? They should, how much music should they play? Play less. 3 hours, right? And that shouldn't be a surprise to us. Remember, you said, what if we asked you in the original scenario, what would happen to the amount of music your roommate plays? We should play less. Well, here, now, we have a graph to prove that. Okay? Here's what I would like you to do. Take a second. So now they're going to switch it. And they're going to, instead of saying that, hang on a second, actually I have the slide here. Look at this. This is the next slide in your slideshow presentation. So I've changed the story just a little bit here. Now, try and figure out, what are you going to do? What should happen to this music? And think about why here. And we'll get together on this next video, and we'll look at your other graph. All right? Do that now.